Hi, my name is Sam Provencher. I'm an integration specialist with LightForce. Welcome to our LightForce Academy How-To series. Today we're going to go over rebonding with LightForce. On our patient's models for today, we are going to rebond the upper left 1 bracket, which you can see here is loose on our wire. We're also going to rebond the lower left 3. You can also see here on our model here that the bracket is loose here on the wire. So you're gonna go ahead and do all of your same removal of the wire and ties. So you're gonna go ahead and grab your scaler or explorer, go ahead and remove those ties off of the brackets. Before you go to rebond your bracket, make sure that your tooth surface is clean. So you can take a high-speed handpiece and a burr, or you can take a scaler and go ahead and clean up that facial surface, and then you should be ready to bond. To find your replacement bracket, you're going to go ahead and open up the LightForce box. Within the LightForce box, there is replacement brackets in the lid compartment of the box. You're going to go ahead and remove that insert out of the lid. You're going to open that box from the front and see that there is a full set of LightForce individual tooth jigs. We're gonna go ahead and bond the upper left segment. So I'm gonna take that individual tooth jig out of our upper central compartment. We're gonna go ahead and grab the upper left central. So I'm gonna go ahead and just rip and tear that off by just doing a quick twist of the tray. Again, taking my tray here, doing a quick twist and removing that out of the individual tooth jig slot. You can see here that we now have an individual tooth that will go ahead and seat right onto your patient's tooth here. When you go to seat that tray onto the tooth, again, you're gonna apply a little bit of occlusal pressure, but because we lose stability in the tray, we're gonna go ahead and apply a little bit of labial pressure. So we're gonna go ahead and insert the tray, apply occlusal pressure first, then labial, and then bond. I'm gonna go ahead and remove that tray after I tried that on. And we're gonna go ahead and add adhesive to this one individual tooth jig. Take my LCR material, go ahead and add that to our individual tooth jig, pressing that adhesive into the pad, pulling back on my syringe so that I don't have adhesive flowing out of that there, adding a little bit of primer to my plastic instrument, and then spreading that along that pad there. You want to make sure that you have about 1 to 2 millimeters of adhesive on that pad. You can use your plastic instrument to clean up the pad so that you have a nice thin layer. Again, turning that tray, looking straight down into the tray to make sure that you have a nice curvature of the base. Make sure that you don't have any bubbling of the adhesive, and make sure it's following the curvature. After you're done applying the adhesive to your individual tooth jig, you can go ahead and place that right back into your LightForce box. You can use the replacement lid box as a light-saving box. So you can go ahead and close that compartment. I'm gonna go ahead and add the adhesive to the lower left 3 as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull out my trays, grab my lower left 3, again, it's just a twist of the tray to remove it from your additional trays, and then add your adhesive. I'm going to close my box and save that from ambient light again, keeping the tabs out so you can easily open the tray when you go to bond. And then we're going to add our adhesive to the back of the bracket. Again, applying towards the middle of the bracket. Pushing that adhesive out and onto the pad, pulling back on our syringe. Using our composite instrument to push that adhesive into the pad, making sure that it's following the curvature of the base. Turn that tray, look straight down into the tray, make sure that you don't have any bubbling of your adhesive. inserting that individual tooth jig back into the box and ready for bonding. You're going to do all of your same tooth prep and to get ready for rebonds. So with that, you're going to go ahead and add your gel etch to your patient's tooth. Make sure that you have a nice chalky finish before you go ahead and add your primer. With that, you're going to go ahead and add your Assure Plus to the tooth. Make sure you do a light cure of the primer before you go ahead and insert that tray. Go ahead and add your primer to the tooth. Light cure about 1 to 2 seconds. Go ahead and take the individual tooth jig out of your replacement box. Close the box so that you can save the other individual tooth jigs from ambient light if you added material to it. When you go to add your individual tooth jig, really important here that you apply occlusal pressure first of that tray. Make sure it's fully seated onto the patient's tooth, making sure that the lingual surface is also following the lingual portion of that tooth and it's lining up with your gingiva. And then from the facial surface, what you're going to go ahead and do is actually apply a little bit of labial pressure. So from that, you're going to hold the occlusal, hold a little bit of that labial surface, and then from there, you're going to go ahead and light cure. When I light cure a individual tooth jig, I will light cure from the mesial and distal portions first. Go ahead and apply light curing from the occlusal and gingival. When you remove the individual tooth jig from the patient's tooth, you're going to go ahead and roll out towards the facial surface again, and there you have your single individual jig for your bonded LightForce bracket. After you're done bonding that lower left 3, you can go ahead and bond your upper left 1. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that jig back into my LightForce box here, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab my upper left 1. Again, closing my LightForce box here, inserting that tray. When you go to insert a upper left 1, again, make sure that you apply pressure to the incisal edge. It's important here that when you apply that pressure to the incisal edge, that you see here on the lingual surface that your tray is following the curvature of the tooth and is fully lined up on that lingual side. And then from here, make sure you apply a little bit of labial pressure. So again, I'm going to apply lingual and labial pressure, pressing that bracket to the tooth, and then I'm going to light cure here from the mesial distal portions of the bracket. When you go to remove the individual tooth jig, again, you're going to roll out from the lingual out towards that facial surface, and there you have your LightForce bracket bonded with the individual tooth jig. After bonding, you can go ahead and keep those single tooth jigs in your replacement box, and then you can keep this box for storing. After rebonding your single IDB jig, you can go ahead and do a reorder of your brackets. From there, you go ahead to lightforceortho.com, where you can go ahead and order the replacement jig by going into your patient's profile and selecting the button Order Replacement Brackets. From there, you can go ahead and select which brackets you need for that reorder, go ahead and say the reason for reordering, and then submit. Each tray should be in the office anywhere between 7 to 10 business days. That concludes the rebonding process with LightForce.